Hello everyone and welcome to today's video as part of the video series on creating the sweet spot table commonly used in venture capital. The previous videos have shown how to establish our global assumptions that will drive the ultimate sensitivity table we're creating, and how to calculate IRR, which will be the basis of the sensitivity table we create. For those who are unfamiliar with what a sensitivity table is, essentially what we're creating is a data table that allows us to take a specific output, in this case IRR, and sensitize it by running multiple scenarios in one table without us having to replicate the calculation. In plain English, if I want to be able to see what the IRR would look like if the years until exit were 7, or if the years until exit were 4, or if the money on invested capital at exit was 5 times or 6 times or 10 times, I can either recreate this calculation a bunch of times, I can change the value and then copy the different IRRs I get over to a new area, or I can create a data table that will do all of these calculations for me. So that's what we're going to do. The point of this video is to show you how to set up the data table, but we aren't actually going to be calculating anything. So let's create a header. We get to call it the sweet spot table. So what we're going to do here is outline on the X and Y axis what we are trying to sensitize. So there are 2 variables we're looking to adjust. The first is money on invested capital, and the second will be the exit year. So for the money on invested capital, we're going to start at 5 times as the base. When creating a data table, you need to have manually entered numbers at least somewhere on the table as the base value. If you are using a formula, so if I just set this equal to cell 9, things can get kind of weird. So what we are going to do is copy the value in, and then even though it's a manually entered number, we're going to use the formatting of black text on a white background. The reason you do this is this table will often end up in memos, and it just looks cleaner and more professionalized this way. The next thing that we're going to do is add 1, and we're going to go all the way to 10 times. Because of that, we're going to have to add 1 extra column of blue for our headers. Some of the formatting I'm doing here, I'm not going to explain in this video, but is covered in the series that I created on formatting fundamentals. I encourage you to check out that series if you have time. The next thing we're going to do is set up the y-axis values, and what this is focused on are the different years that we exit our investment. So if in our base case we're saying 6 years, instead let's say anywhere from 4 years to 8 years. So exit in year 4, exit in year 5, exit in year 6, and so on. Now, one thing you might notice is this doesn't look very good. So what I want to have here is I want it to say exit in year blank. There are a few different ways I can do this. Some are very technical and involve a lot of modeling expertise. Some are a little more simplistic but can be very effective. For this case, in this level of modeling, we're going to opt for one of the more simplistic methods, but I would encourage you to explore some of the more complicated ways that you could display text, year, exit in year blank, as well as the number that still preserves the data integrity. More information than most people need for this video, just something to keep in mind. The way we're going to allow this data to say exit in year blank is we're going to go to the font menu, go to number, we're going to use custom format. We're going to click the first area where it says 0 because we're not going to assume partial years, although I suppose we could. You know what, let's do that. Let's say exit in year 4.0. That way, if we wanted to exit midway through year 3, we could reflect that. Then in front of the number, we're going to put quotations, and in between those quotations, we are going to write exit in year and then put a space. So you can always see here what a sample of the text would look like. We're going to apply that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a border. Now, we're going to use the thick border like we have along the top to the left. The final thing, we're going to move the text over to the left side. Just looks a little bit cleaner. And then, boom, we've set up our data table. The next video is going to show us how to actually turn this data table into a functioning sensitivity table that will show us the different IRRs depending on the year we exit and our money on invested capital at exit. Thank you for watching, and please reach out with any questions you have.